My name is Bill Hart, and we are doing Monday Evening DM, where I talk a little bit about my games over the weekend. Last weekend, we did not have a game, and I did not do a Monday Evening DM. I actually ran Grandma's Marathon, completed it. Here's the medal to prove it. And it was a hot one. 78 degrees before start time. I knew it was going to be hot. 2,000 runners actually dropped out as high risk. And so it was brutal. I was in no shape to do a video on Monday, and we didn't game Saturday and Sunday since I was up in Duluth. So took a break. And this weekend, we weren't able to do a game on Saturday due to me going up north again to a wedding. But we did get a game in on Sunday, so we were able to do the Ganor Empire. And so I'm going to kind of talk about that game as well as just talk about both campaigns in general a little bit as a DM. Maybe give a couple tips here as well. I'm going to kind of keep to some notes to kind of help make sure that I'm going through things and not rambling on. So the Ganor Empire. It is one of the main continents in my world, and it has a Roman Empire type feel to it, absolutely. And maybe even a little Dark Sun in the sense of the old 3.5, one of the campaigns there. Emperor Hoagland is ruler of the empire, and after centuries of internal war, taking over the entire continent, using most of the natural resources, the land is dried up. And now they are going to war with other nations via ships, of course, and expanding their territory as well as trying to get the natural resources from some of these other places. There's some strict laws about arcane magic there, and any spellcaster needs to be registered within the government and pay taxes on monthly taxes of being practicing of arcane magic. And the empire is actually ruled by the Church of Cordal, which is my god of war, and they have the emperor's ear, in the sense they advise the emperor, and that's kind of the run of that. I just want to briefly say too, with the emperor and how they took it there, where they used most natural resources, especially internal in the center of the continent. It's now desert, desolate lands. The Hoaglands, the Hoagland family, the Ganors, use their sorcerers, and their way of drawing magic is actually from the land, and so they, over these centuries, have become powerful mages, but at the same time they were destroying the land, and now they have to go elsewhere to get those resources just to continue to build their empire. So there's the new campaign with the Ganor Empire. This group started, they're working for the Empire as part of a legion. The majority of the characters are. There's one character that's actually City Militia from Starmoon, and he's from Starmoon, and he's actually just been released from prison not too long ago. Spent 40 years in prison. He's an elf. And but now he works, part of his parole is now doing a term for the city militia. And more to come on that with the story coming out. Anyways, the group now, the characters are around third. The majority of them are third to fourth level. I always start my groups at first level, and I'll kind of talk into that a little bit more when we talk more about the Terran campaign. But I want to bring up a DM tip that kind of came from the Ganor Empire that happened really almost at the session 1. So, of all things, my grandson was going to make a necromancer. And the plan was the adventure I had them going on first to work for the governor Lelou of Starmoon, where they're based out of. The plan was they were going to go kill this gladiator that he had sold to Starmoon, or to the village of Tyr, where they have a pit as well, for a fighting pit. And lo and behold, though, my grandson the night before pulled a fast one, and instead of going with a necromancer, he ended up making a paladin. So now I can't go have a paladin go now murder someone. So I have to switch it up on the adventure. So instead now I change it up. Instead of them going to murder this gladiator, now they in turn have to go bring him to Starmoon to fight in the pits in Starmoon under the governor's banner. And so their task was to go get him from the village of Tyr and bring him back as he was purchased as a slave, and bring him back. And even my grandson had a great point. He's like, well, I'm a paladin. Shouldn't I, this is slavery. Should I be doing this? Which is great to hear. He thought of this. And my grandson who plays, he's our youngest player, and he's 9. He's very smart. And it's really cool that he even thought of that. But here in the Gano Empire, slavery is legal. It's lawful. So it's fine to own slaves here. Most of the nobles here own slaves. It's just part of the way of life here in the empire. And that's not necessarily everywhere in my world, but here it's prominent that slavery exists. So that's kind of my tip, is that be flexible with your game, and if your planned adventure totally turns, go with it. Figure out a way. I found out the night before that he did this. I had the adventure already written up, all the planned encounters done, and he did that, and so I had to switch it up. It was interesting, and it worked, and they didn't know. I told 2 of the players after the adventure, and now all my players will know that kind of pulled the quick change-o on them. Yesterday, the group attacked a goblin campsite, and were successful at that, and determined that there were more humanoids underground by keeping a goblin alive and questioning him. So, smart thing on the group's part. I thought they were going to just kill the other goblin, and they still could have found the underground pass, the underground tunnel on their own if they would have investigated, and I'm sure they would have. But you just never know. Sometimes they don't, and the players wander off completely, and there's a little adventure you created, and they just go on and do something different, which I'm completely fine. I run an open campaign, and so what I mean by open campaigns is I let the players kind of drive the story, or where they're going with the story, where they're going with their characters, and I put certain things in front of them. I have planned adventures, planned quests, and sometimes they may not take the bait. They may take a left when I want them to go right, and if that's the case, I just usually will just take that adventure and put it to the side, and maybe use it in a different campaign. There's been times where I might sit on an adventure for 2 or 3 years before I can actually use it in a campaign setting, and it just happens. And as a DM, I think you just really have to be flexible and roll with the punches. Both groups really we're still learning the 5e rules. It's a lot of fun trying to learn the rules. We've been with 3.5 since the beginning of 3.5, and we're pretty good masters of those rules. even though it's a ton of books. And with 5e, we're getting it down session after session. We're figuring things out, and it's kind of fun discovering different things between 3.5 and 5e that are different, and we really enjoy it. Or at least I believe all my players enjoy it. At least they're telling me that, but they're probably happy that I'm running, every weekend. So they'll probably say anything I want to, keep me happy. The Terran campaign. So the Terran is another continent. It's wild and dangerous. There's only 3 cities on Terran, or at least 3 known cities to the world. There could be more beyond some mountains that the group hasn't adventured, but that's for stories to come later on. And the 3 cities are separated by mountains, and they do not deal with each other at all. They don't interact with each other. One city where the group is out of, where they started, they're not really out of a city, but they started there in the city of Anlin, and that is a city of almost in a sense refugees. I had a war previous in the game, and 2 cities, Quindano and Carthrax, which is on the west coast of Tamra, which is my main continent. I've had the majority of my campaigns come out of Tamra. And during the war, a lot of refugees left there. A lot of elves, and really a lot of elves from Tamra made their way here. But it's still a new city and still growing in population. And then the other 2 cities, one is ruled by the warlord Guareno, who now, and he's the main reason behind the elves leaving the city of Anlin is because of the war in Tamra, and he now rules about half of Tamra, and he has a city here also going after untouched resources in Terran, as well as rumored, lost great treasures beyond the mountains. And then the Ganor Empire. So Hoagland, the Emperor Hoagland has a city here as well, and he's also tapping into the natural resources, of course. The Allen groups, an experienced group of characters, they range from 5th to 9th level, and they were converted from 3.5. The Ganor Empire, they're all brand new characters. We started them out at 1st level. Now they're all 3rd to 4th. But this group, they were experienced characters that we converted over from 3.5 to 5e. Except for Asknod, the gnome barbarian, who just joined the group the last session that we played, and he came in at 1st level. So I make all new players that come into my game, they must start out at 1st level, even in higher campaigns. And the reason I do this, and my core players understand it now probably more than anything, is when I've let higher level characters come in with new players running them, sometimes these players have had their own agenda, maybe turn the campaign completely around, or threaten characters in the group, or even kill them. Or the characters themselves, the core players, are killing the new character, and it's not a good thing. So I make them start out at 1st level. However, if the player does a great backstory with the character and put work in it, and they share it with me, they send it to me before we game, I could bump the character up to 2nd level before we even start the session. So at least maybe they come in at 2nd level. But my players, and even in the sense that they die or they decide they want to change and bring in a new character into the game, they're usually very conservative when they're 1st and 2nd level with those characters. They'll stand back with the higher level characters, maybe get a shot in here or there in combat, and then try to get experience role playing and being involved in some big combats. and hopefully get up, that third, fourth level rather quickly after maybe a couple of sessions. Um, but not asked not. He went right into the fray, into their fighting mountain trolls that I had, and he goes charging in, plays his character great, a gnome barbarian, and has no fear, and goes charging right on in with the lead fighters in the group. The good thing is he survived, and the mountain trolls were more concerned about the other heavy hitting fighters that were in the group that were really uh, hurting the trolls. And I don't think Ask not even hit the trolls. Maybe once. He might have hit once. Needless to say, he comes out of that session third level. So one session in, and he's already third level in the game. And the good thing is, there's two barbarians in the group that's going to be able to train him and get his powers the next couple of days as the group travels. So um, it should be a good time, and I'm sure he'll hit fourth and fifth level before you know it. This group is at a crossroad now, so unlike the Ganor Empire group, where they're kind of set in the sense of, and they're still figuring themselves out. It's great that with the Ganor group, with the mix of the dwarves and elves, are doing some great role playing where the elves are kind of aloof and doing their own thing, where the dwarves and the Ganorian cleric, they're very military, and so they want a very organized. Where the two elves are like, oh, we got this, we'll do this, and so it's great seeing that in the game, and they're going to continue kind of probably working for the Empire a little bit more, maybe another adventure or two, and then see where that road takes them. But for the Terran group, they're kind of at a crossroad. They're going to arrive at Sunterhold this Saturday when we play, and they have some major decisions to make. Cass, the wizard in the group, has been chasing this book of dead, and it keeps escaping his grasp, and he knows where the book is right now. He knows who has it too, and if he waits too long, it could disappear again on him. So it'll be interesting to see, if he can convince the group, this is where we should go next. And then there's Garther. Here's this dwarf returning to Sunterhold, his home, and he's been away for many, many years. And does he want to stay at home and assist the dwarves against this orc nation that's rising up? And then it's moving close to Sunterhold as well, or does he leave and go chase this Book of the Dead with Cass? So it'll be interesting. And like I said, my game's open in the sense that whichever direction they go, I even told the players that who knows, the group could kind of split in two. And I could be running 3 campaigns really for a little bit, and they would probably join up again anyways. But then these guys got some reserve characters, especially we tested 5e here in Terran, so they have some new characters that they could bring in, and some of the players have other characters that they've pushed aside, and now they may bring them back as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this Saturday. So stay tuned. And then the last thing I want to say is I want to give a big shout out to Nerdarchy and Ted, giving me an opportunity to play this last night, Sunday, with Nag on YouTube. And that was a lot of fun. I converted one of my characters that one of the other DMs in our group runs, and he's a ranger, and converted him from 3.5 to 5e, and I thought he worked really well. Fornar is his name, and I did forget to use Hunter's Mark when we were playing. I was pretty conservative on my abilities and didn't use any spells because I just didn't know what Ted was going to throw at us, and so I was conservative as well as the other players in the group too. We were all afterwards. We talked to Ted after the live stream went down, and we were all saying, yeah, we were very conservative because we just didn't know. And but it was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to maybe getting another opportunity to play with those guys, and we'll see. With that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. World of Harthron is sign off. And remember, heroes and villains alike meet their fates, whether it is conquest, glory, or death. Have a great night. Bye.